guys, welcome back to Room 237 as I continue my marathon of Italian horror and Giallo films. But we're getting down to the end of it, and it is the month of October. I got this guy hanging up. I do have some more Halloween type things planned for October. I do have some other things I want to get to. But I'm finding it hard to get out of this Giallo-thon that I'm doing, because there's more that I want to pick up. There's more that I want to do. And what I do have planned in October isn't anything super special. Just continuing anthologies and one other sort of a mini-thon that I had planned. But aside from the one that I'll be doing in this video, these are some of the pickups. Wow, can't talk. These are what I picked up today and that I'll actually be doing this week. And I know a lot of people have been asking me about these ones specifically. But first, there's Sergio Martino's Suspicious Death of a Minor. Arrow release. I just turned the jacket around. And then these especially. Arrow releases of What Have You Done to Solange and What Have They Done to Your Daughters. I didn't really like the original artwork for this, so I left it. But very excited to check these out. Haven't heard too many good things about this, but I love Sergio Martino, so I'm very excited to get to these. Regardless of which, I'm sure they're all better than this fucking film. 1979's Play Motel. And yes, let this cover set the tone for what this film is. Now, before I get, I'll just do that. It's directed by Mario Gariazzo, and it stars Anna Maria Rizzoli, Ray Lovelock, who's been in several Giallo I've done. On top of my head, he was in Autopsy. Patrizia Bain, Vittorio Ripamonti, Marina Hedman. One of them is an actual adult actor or actress, but it's funny because there are characters named Anna and Patrizia in this film. And the music is done by Ubaldo Continello, if I pronounce that correctly. But the only thing that really pops up other than sort of porny disco and this super annoying Play Motel song, there are a couple pieces that sound like decent Giallo music. Now, the thing about this film is, going into it, I heard that this is quite possibly the sleaziest Giallo ever made. It's easy to see why. So far, it's the sleaziest I've seen. Before this, it was Slaughter Hotel. This is sleazier and more hardcore than that. I've heard other films like Solange, Killer Is Still Among Us, and Giallo in Venice are more sleazy, but I've heard some people say this is the consistently sleaziest. And the thing about it is, in 1979, Giallo was pretty much dead. In fact, I think all of Italian cinema was kind of dying out, or at least in the exploitation section. Of course, it would pick up again in the 80s, but a lot of their erotica stuff was obviously more softcore, so it could get released, but the world of hardcore pornography was becoming bigger, and it was becoming less illegal and more acceptable, but it was still fairly illegal in some areas. Now, what happened was they set out to make a more hardcore, erotic Giallo, but when everyone left for the day, supposedly this other crew came in and shot hardcore inserts. and they were placed in the film. Now, and this is still a cut version. I mean, this is 93 minutes. It does come with 7 minutes of censored hardcore inserts in like a montage. I did not watch that. I feel it adds nothing. Even how sleazy and long some of the erotic scenes are. I mean, it's long and boring. So I was... Yes, it does play into the plot. It does play into the plot. But it's like, okay, we get it. Can we move on? So, yeah, it ended up becoming a super hardcore film, especially for the time. And I think it had like one other DVD release prior to a Raro video. Raro video actually put a Blu-ray out of this as well. There's a whole history of it that I was reading on a DVD drive-in. But, yes, what was it? Yeah, it was never really released stateside, but it had poor video quality. It was subtitled from the hardcore version. This is still in Italian with subtitles only. But, just give me a minute. This thing is slow. I'm just trying to get the... Yeah, it was even unknown to the director, Gariazzo, that some other crew came in, and it was distributed both softcore and illegal hardcore versions. So, I don't know if the hardcore version was ever officially released, like, intact, but yeah, this will probably be at the bottom of my bottom 10 Giallo list. I mean, yeah, Plot of Fear and Seven Deaths of the Cat's Eye, Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave are bad movies, and I don't like them. But this was a chore to sit through. And there's not much to it. I mean, acting, I guess, is okay. I didn't really notice it. Music is give or take. Some of it's really repetitive and annoying, like every time the Play Motel song comes on. But really, the only kind of appeal would be how sleazy it is. And even then, that loses its... It loses its novelty very quick. I mean, one of the first scenes is a very long sex scene between a guy in a classic devil costume and this woman in like a nun outfit that's open in certain areas. And the plot really isn't anything special either. And mostly, I mean, there's probably 3 deaths, very few and far between. It mostly deals with blackmail, and yeah, it doesn't have really enough interesting twists and turns to keep you engaged. Not really... I was going to say no real interesting set pieces, but the actual room in the motel where all the sleaze takes place is kind of an interesting looking room. My first thought was it looked like if Argento designed parts of the Overlook Hotel. It's this very red... It kind of reminded me of like the bathroom, the men's room in The Shining. Like if Argento got a hold of it. And really, I mean, there's these rich guys take these models to the Play Motel. That's the name of it, and they do their thing. But then photographs of them with these prostitutes or models come out, and they get blackmailed for like hundreds of millions of dollars, like $300 million. And then the models end up being killed. And eventually, this one couple who's there. I don't know if they're married or boyfriend, girlfriend. Different sources say different things. I don't think they ever really say it in the film. But they become involved because the body of one of the victims ends up in their car. They call the police and the body's not there and it's found somewhere else. And the couple are actors. So this inspector, decides to use their acting abilities to kind of infiltrate the areas of interest and help solve the case. And yeah, it does do the thing where it makes the super obvious person the red herring that it wants us to believe. But even then, when it gets to the twist, like, it doesn't have enough well done misdirects or red herrings. After a while, or not even a while, it's pretty obvious what's going on. I mean, the overall guy, I didn't really see him being the main culprit, but everyone else beneath him that's working for him is pretty obvious. But I mean, I took a bunch of notes, but I don't think this movie's really worth it. As far as sleaze, I mean, I thought Slaughter Hotel, with its masturbation scene showing everything, was hardcore. This puts it all out there too. Full on female genitalia. And yeah, the one set piece of the room, like the round bed with this red blanket that's all tassely along the sides. There is a nice overhead shot when she's laying on it. That's a decent shot. The only real style this movie has is sometimes, because everything takes place in room 3, but room 4 has like a mirror that can be taken down and can see everything in room 3. This photographer, Willie, the guy that shoots everything, whenever he takes a picture, plus it's all black behind him, I always think that's kind of neat looking. But yeah, whenever something's going on and we hear the click, yeah, it'll like zoom or it'll go black. It does do something whenever he's doing photography. Other than that, there's not really much. But, so like the first victim, or the first couple, it centers around this guy, what the hell was his name? Cortese. He's a businessman who was there with this prostitute. She had a 4-leaf clover pin. It comes up again at the end, and yeah, he's called for the blackmail. He calls his lawyer. He just wants to pay it so it can be done and over with. But come to find out, his lawyer is with Cortese's wife. So Cortese's wife knows he's being blackmailed for an affair. She finds the photos, like where he put them in their house. She wants to go to the police to ruin his reputation. And she talks to Inspector DeSanti, who was former Vice. And he finds out that the woman in the photos is a model for this porno mag called, I think it's called like 4-Leaf Clover. And that's when we see her at this photo shoot. The guy Willie hits on her. She rejects him, which keeps coming up. Like each woman kind of rejects him, and he looks upset. But then that's when she is bludgeoned in the back of the head with a wrench while driving. Like she rejects him. Then it shows her in the car. Killer's in the back seat. Italians have tiny cars. I don't know how she didn't see it. It's like the ending to Chainsaw Massacre in the beginning. But clubs her in the back of the head with this wrench. And we see her, like, go down. I swear she goes cross-eyed. And then right after that, I don't remember how, but Louisa, Cortese's wife, ends up at the motel, knows that rooms 3 and 4 have that connection. she sees the couple, Roberto and Patrizia, the actors who are our main characters. Roberto is played by Ray Lovelock. She sees them having their sex scene, which is very short, thankfully, where they're doing some slave master Amazonian thing where he's like whipping her and she's making animal sounds. Okay. And then she's garroted in that room. She ends up in their trunk. They have to keep stopping to put water in the radiator. So when they go to get the jug out of the trunk, that's when they find her. They go to call the police, but when they get back, she's gone. She's found in the driver's seat of her own car. Of course, Seti is questioned. And then DeSanti enlists the help of Roberto and Patrizia. Which, I mean, some of it's interesting, like how they find out the motel is the place of operations because she dresses up as a wannabe model. They're filled in on this guy, Ligori, if I pronounce that correctly, the head of Four Leaf Clover magazine, who I guess served 2 years for sex trafficking. So they kind of follow him around, follow him to the motel. She gets a room and then follows them up to room 3, sees they go into 3. Then she notices someone else goes in 4. When they all come out, they follow the guy in 4, see where he goes. He goes to a photography studio. It's Willie. So there they figure out, okay, there's sex going on here. There's photography going on here. And they keep trying to put it together. It really seems more like they're trying to solve this blackmailing ring. The murders just happen to be incidental. Just seem to be happening concurrently. But then, like, there's this other guy that gets blackmailed, this banker, who's a weirdo. Because first, Patrizia decides to further pretend to be a model and go to a photo shoot at Willie's. She does. He forces himself on her, but she rejects him. While she goes to freshen up, she looks around, finds the dark room with all the negatives. So they know he's involved, and so is Ligori, because then that woman is then blackmailed. Which, the scene with Ligori and the woman he's with, when Patrizia is staying at the motel at the same time, is very long. And that is the sleaziest. I mean, that's the one where we see full on everything. And it's kind of funny how this insert that kind of tells us the story of things, some of the photos are the hardcore inserts, but they don't put them in the actual movie. She decides, the woman he was with decides to pay, but Ligori is with her. She gives him the package. He runs over to the car. He gets the envelope, gives it to her, and says, I was going to go for a walk and take a cab. You go ahead. Now, we should suspect, oh, she's going to get killed. But no, he goes over and gets in the car with the person that had the stuff and drives off. So, I mean, yeah, it's showing us what's happening, but there's not enough misdirect going on before for that to throw us off. It's just kind of like, yeah, I kind of figured he was behind everything. This just further instates it. Also, when Patrizia found the dark room, spiral staircase, always there. This other guy goes to the motel, a banker who's a weirdo. Like, he sees this model Anna undressed, and he's just, which we get this one shot of just butt. It zooms in, and then we just see, it zooms down on him, and he's got this glass bottle. And of course, then we cut to the camera as she screams no, which I know something similar happens in this film. I'm just going to skip ahead. Spoilers. I doubt anyone's going to see this. I don't really recommend it. Unless super ultra sleaze, almost pornographic is your thing. Even all of that aside, this is not a very good Giallo. It's very boring. It's pretty... There's not really a lot going on. I mean, okay, we have these actors pretending to do what they have to do to help this inspector solve this case of like a blackmail ring. But there's not enough red herrings or misdirect or twisted turns to really keep us guessing or keep us interested or really to make us care. So I guess spoilers. So after the banker and the Anna girl leave, they follow Anna so they know where she leaves. And DeSanti tells Patrizia that she should go confront her about the blackmail. She says she doesn't know. When she calls the banker, he's yelling because he's already been blackmailed. So then she enlists Anna's help to infiltrate Willie's studio, see if she can find anything. She seduces Willie. Patrizia finds this address book and then leaves, but Liguori notices her coming out, and it shows that he remembers her despite wearing a wig earlier on when they were all at the motel. He recognizes her and is able to put it together that Anna is working with someone else to double-cross them. Patrizia is abducted. Cortese is questioned again, pretty much saying, well, your wife was killed similarly to the other victims, but she was the only one that wasn't a model or a prostitute like the other two. But she might have had other lovers. Also, there's a photograph of Liguori's son shaking hands with you at Louisa's funeral. And basically, to race against the clock to help save Patrizia and solve the case, DeSanti and Roberto call Cortese, pretending to be the blackmailer, saying they had the 4-leaf clover pin that, his prostitute was wearing. They set up a meeting for the next day. He calls his lawyer, but then we see his lawyer call someone else, but we don't see who. So then showing up saying it's Cortese is Liguori. He has a gun, so of course he's trying to stop everything. Because also, he had someone beat Patrizia up to get information. Again, making it more obvious that he's involved. But the only thing of interest was just when you think he's head of everything, he gets a phone call saying, has she talked yet? He says, no, but we'll get it out of her. And they say, the voice says, well, don't bother, I want her alive. Just put her in the cellar. So it shows he's actually working for someone. He's not actually the mastermind of the whole thing. That's really the only thing of interest. And even then, it's just like, well, who could he possibly be working for? There's really no other characters in this film. Definitely not the photographer. Who else could it be? It's Cortese. They corner him at Liguori's house. And although he does say he never killed anyone, but yeah, blackmailing was his lucrative way to make a shit ton of money. But when he says, I never killed anyone, the camera does kind of hold on Willie for a while. I guess implying he did some of the dirty work. But whatever. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this movie. I didn't think I would be. I didn't go into it with with like a typical unseen Giallo enthusiasm I normally have, because I figured it was going to be more sleaze than substance anyway. And you can have ultra sleazy Giallos that are still good. I mean, New York Ripper, I still enjoy. I don't enjoy it as much as I used to, but I still do. That's one of the sleazier ones as well. I like Strip Nude for Your Killer. Uh, Slaughter Hotel was fun for what it was. It was a so bad it's fun kind of movie. So you can have sleaze and still be good. But this really teeters and starts to fall over just the sheer pornographic side. And that's really its only appeal. And I just didn't really find it that appealing. So yeah, this would have to be, I'd probably put this at the bottom uh, of like my least favorite Giallos. I mean, I might put Plot of Fear, and I would definitely put Seven Deaths of the Cat's Eye over this. Plot of Fear I thought was bad, but I I think that had more going for it Giallo wise and on a technical side and visual style, everything else than this did. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of Play Motel. But anyway, definitely looking forward to see these instead. So look out for these reviews. I know this wasn't a very good review, and I apologize for that. But anyway, if you stuck through the whole thing, thank you for watching.